Hi, welcome. This is a little video about Libra season, which is starting. So it's happy birthday to Libra. And it's starting on the 22nd, which I believe was yesterday. Or is it today? I don't know. Well, anyway, it's Libra season, basically. We're right at the beginning of it. Say goodbye to Virgo season. This is Libra season. And I just think it's really important to be aware of it, because you look at all the astrology reports on, you know, there's loads of different types of things going on, Mercury retrograde and other planets going to retrograde and stuff like this. I mean, I'm not an expert at it, but something I do know is that these seasons really massively affect our ego. So that's why I'm starting to do these videos. And obviously I just did one on the Virgo season. Now, how did you find it? I tell you what, I found it really hard. I know I did the video all about, you know, don't let your ego get you reactive, because your ego is going to want to sort things out. It's going to want to address problems. It's going to want to be very picky. Like, you're going to find yourself feeling quite critical of either people in your life or yourself. You're going to overanalyze things. Obviously, there's a lot of good traits to Virgo in terms of reorganization and structuring things, and, you know, being very practical and nurturing. You know, there's really good sides to the Virgo, but the thing is, a lot of those things the ego takes to the extreme, and under the influence of that energy, I found Virgo season very, very difficult personally. I've got Virgo in my chart as well, and I ended up sort of like trying to sort out a situation with somebody, and I sort of regret a lot of the things I said now, because a lot of the things I said didn't really need to be said. And I was really trying to put it off I was trying so hard to get through to Libra season before I dealt with it, because I felt if I could get through to Libra season, my ego wouldn't be under the influence of that Virgo season energy. And I would have dealt with this situation, I think, better. But never mind. I succumbed to it in the end, and I don't know if you did, but you may have felt the same with Virgo season, that you ended up addressing things with people or trying to change things, and then you sort of realise the way you went about it maybe wasn't the right way, or anyway, it is what it is. The thing is, the ego will rise, and there's nothing you can do about it while you've got an ego. It's there. You know, and obviously the most important thing is we're working on the ego to get it to become smaller, because the ego is the false self, and we don't want to live in this false self, because it's not who we really are. What we really are is the true spirit, the beingness, which is just peaceful, you see. And the thing with consciousness is, which is your true being, you know, it doesn't have an urge to really do anything. It just allows spirit to do all the work. And that's when you know you live in a proper spiritual life in alignment with spirit. You're allowing spirit to do the work for you. So these energies can be really compelling and pressurizing to make us want to do certain things. So now we're in Libra season. Libra is going to be a lot gentler and a lot nicer, I have to say, for me, you know, because I think it's just better for me. But, you know, we see how it goes. The thing with Libra is it is a gentle energy. It's a very balancing energy. It's very harmonious and peaceful. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to like Libra people, you know, because you might know people with Libra and energy and you don't really get on with them. But I'm just talking about the energy of Libra that we're going to be under for the next 4 weeks or whatever it is. Now, the thing is, how that's going to possibly affect your ego, because that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it a bit differently to other, say, astrologers. I'm not an astrologer, but, you know, I work a lot with the ego, right? So basically, on the one level, it could really calm your ego down. And if you've had OCD problems or anxiety, overanalyzing stuff, feeling like a lot of pressure to reorganize things and do a lot of practical, maybe too much practical stuff, and you felt like that through Virgo season, that should all calm down this Libra season. You should find yourself less sort of stressed in terms of like over-analysing your problems, criticising other people, or feeling yourself critical of yourself. I mean, the ego just loves criticising. You know, you should find yourself picking less holes in things, and it should be more of a smoother energy. But the thing that you might get frustrated with your ego is you might find yourself prioritizing other people too much, because that's one of the tendencies that can happen with Libra. And I've got a lot of Libra in my chart, and you know, the thing with us is we can people please too much. We can be at the risk of that. You know, we're always wanting to heal other people, maybe even fix other people at our worst, which is really not right, because God's spirit is the one that fixes everything in its good time. And so there could be a tendency to try to be too nice, too people-pleasing, too accommodating, you know, trying to be too helpful to everybody. And that's the thing I would watch with the ego over the next 4 weeks while we're in Libra season. Just observe yourself. If you find your ego keeps pushing you to help other people too much, or be too accommodating, you know, are you agreeing to things that you actually really don't want to do? Also look at the fact that there might be certain habits and patterns that you now want to break, but your ego might keep trying to keep you stuck in your old patterns and habits just to please other people, or just to make other people's lives easier, you know, because Libra is the peacemaker. But, you know, a lot of the time when we do that, it's at our own expense. But you see, the ego may be under pressure to be a peacemaker this month, or do too much for other people. And that's what I would say to watch. Watch your ego if it keeps trying to get you to agree to things that you actually don't feel comfortable with anymore, because you're moving into a new timeline. You know, we're burning off ego all the time. We're burning off the inner child story all the time. And we're just, you know, learning on this channel, we're learning to stand in our power now. So we don't have to kind of keep up old ego identities and old patterns and habits that we used to have, just because we're scared of losing people, or because we're scared that we're going to upset people. You know, you've got to walk in your power, haven't you? And walk in your truth in the present moment. So that's where the ego might get pushed and influenced, I think, by the Libra energy. There's not really too much more to say on it. It's quite a short video, really, but I just wanted to flag it up. And I have to admit, you know, it did make me laugh that I flagged it up about the Virgo season. You know, try not to let your ego feel pressured to sort a situation out. You know, just trust in spirit. Spirit will sort it out for you. And of course, I didn't trust in spirit in the end, and I cracked. But there we go. You know, I've still got ego. We're all the same. You know, like I say to you all the time, you're my soul fam. You know, we're all the same on this channel. We've all got ego. Everyone on Gaia has. You know, and the thing is, there's nothing, you know, there's nothing wrong if you end up doing what your ego wants you to do, because you can't help it really while you've got an ego. But the more you can observe yourself and think, oh yeah, I actually did that, and it was kind of my ego trying to rush a situation to be resolved, or, you know, sort of please other people, or whatever it is. And actually, that's what the ego does. It always wants to take control, which isn't really the nicest energy for you, and it's not often the nicest energy for other people. You know, and we're not allowing spirit to do the work. That's the main problem. You know, the ego is the false self. So that's why we don't really want to always do what it tells us to do when we feel those pressured feelings. Because when we feel pressured feelings, or we can feel ourselves going out of alignment, it's because we're allowing the ego to dominate us. We're allowing the false self and the matrix to dominate us. And we're not really focusing on the self and allowing the self, the consciousness, to just guide. And it does take you have to be very resolved about it. You have to be very diligent and very vigilant. You know, you have to be rock solid to not let the matrix sway you all the time and trigger you all the time. And you have to be rock solid not to let your ego rule the roost and keep making you do things that actually, you know, you don't really want to do, or you know, it has a different energy to it, the ego. It's got a sort of, it's got a denser energy. It's got a more, often has a more urgent energy. It tends to like a buzz. It likes control. So when you feel those kind of very intense feelings, they tend to be ego. I hate to say it. And actually, consciousness is just very neutral. So that's how you know the difference between your ego energy and your consciousness energy. Your consciousness energy is much more neutral and trusting, and it allows just spirit to do the work. But it requires a lot of patience, you see, and that's, the ego doesn't have patience. So that's really the difference between the two. And so, yeah, in this Libra season, we might feel the ego pressuring us to sort of say yes to things we don't want to do, keep up old habits or patterns that we don't really want to engage in anymore, trying to be too accommodating to other people. If we notice any of those things, it's just observe it. If you fall foul to it, so be it. You know, you just have to forgive yourself for it. It's just where you are in the journey. But you might find that you can observe yourself when you're feeling those pressures and say to yourself, no, that's not who I am anymore. That's not what I'm doing anymore. It's not my job to fix everyone. It's not my job to please everyone. It's not my job to keep up old habits just to keep certain people in my life. You know, I don't have to be overly accommodating, because honouring self is honouring spirit, and we have to honour self first. So that is a little message for you, my soul fam. Because I know, you know, we're all very similar on this channel, and when I speak to all of you, you know, I totally understand what you're going through. It's not easy. So anyway, one love and peace, and I'll be uploading some nice videos tomorrow. They're going to be new moon readings for the zodiacs. Okay, one love.